Well, hello again there, friends and neighbors. I'm Mike Trow, along with Mike Wilson for the Saline County Libertarian Party. Hi, Mom. See the hat? Okay, I know you don't like it when I wear hats, so, but, okay. Hi. Little advertisement for my wife's company there.
We're a little bit handicapped here because we tape this about the second week of the month, and the show is cable cast the next month. So this is, let's see, this will be September's show. We're taping in August. We do meet the first Saturday of the month at Mocha's at 10 a.m. And the fair went very well. We had good reception. And one thing I noticed, a lot of our new LP members are young people because a lot of young people are starting to worry about the finances. They're not stupid like us old people. Old people are...
They're not as stupid as what we try to make them out to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, one thing I have against old people are afraid to change. They're so set in their ways. But young people, they're concerned about Social Security. Will they have that in 30, 40 years? So anyway, it's been my observation that most of the people who are interested in becoming Libertarian Party members are younger people.
It is always great to see you folks. Come and see us at our meetings. That's what I heard a lot is they wanted to know, well, you guys meet every month? We hear your ads on KINA. And so, yeah, come and see us. We really love to see. The thing I love about it is when we started this, we've been doing this show for what now, 4 years?
At least, yeah.
And for so much that time, first of all, it was Mike. And he was just slogging it out alone. And then he picked me up along the way. I went to one of these meetings. And so for the longest time, it was him and I. And here in the last few months, the thing is exploding. And there's a lot of people out there who are tired of the Republicans. They're tired of the Democrats. Yeah. Look at this whole county health thing that's going on. That's a Republican-Democrat spat is all that is. And the vast majority of the people here in the Saline County are going, hey, what about our health services? And so that's where they're coming from. And it's just, they're looking for something else. And if we can really find good people to step up and to represent this party, people will go with us. I have no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. And also, there's a local businessman. He advertises his business on KINA, and he's also included our monthly Libertarian Party meetings. So a good part of what we do at the LP meetings is due to this person.
Along those lines, we have somebody who has filed to run for governor, representing the Libertarian Party. Her name is Tressa McElhaney. She's from Bonner Springs. She's 33 years old, and she says that we want to start a revolution and clean out the government. It's time for fresh people and ideas. We feel like there are people out there looking for a political home. Amen, Tressa. Okay? Mm-hmm. And this is what we are looking for. We are looking for people that'll help make a change. Okay?
Yeah. I get so tired of these, nationwide in the national legislature, there are so many old, incompetent buffoons and fools. I see those guys on TV and their gray hair and they let it grow long because it looks cute. And they wear these reading glasses perched on their nose. And they've been in Congress for decades. It's time for those old to get out of there and quit and get some young people in there. And you'll notice in the Republican Party, the legislators who are really concerned about immigration and national spending, they're the younger people, aren't they? It's not the old fools.
Right, right. Our state chairman, gentleman by the name of, and I'll probably mess up his name, Al Turwell, made a comment in this article. He was quoted as saying, "The other part of it is, I think voters across the state aren't pleased with the situation." Mm-hmm. Is that a little bit of understatement there, Al, buddy? I've come across several people that they are not just not pleased, they want to change. You know, but there's two types. You can want to change. That's the easy part. The hard part is actually doing something.
Yeah.
You know, doing something.
And also last month at the fair, this older gentleman, I've known him for years, he's a Democrat. He came over to me and he says, "Mike, people are getting sick and tired of these Democrats and Republicans."
Yeah.
So there's a well-known person, he's a Democrat, and he admitted that.
Yeah, and you know, they will do that.
Well,
there are some honest ones that will
very
do
few.
that.
Very few Republicans and Democrats are
Yeah.
completely honest.
But they are there, and so we can work with that.
1 in 1,000, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah. Better than 0 in 1,000, I'd say. Okay, that's one. So keep an eye on Tressa and see what she says. Check her out, folks. See if she's somebody that you would like to support. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Our next story here, kind of in the same mode. Libertarians on a tide of support make their move. I read this article, and the thing that really jumps out at me is when you read the title, and you have to be careful, and you folks know this, but when you go to read a story, you know that reporter has a bias. Everybody has a bias. And so you just have to check it out. And this is an example of where title and story message don't really mesh. They talk about in here, this is basically a story of the difference between a big L libertarian and a little L libertarian.
There are a lot of small L's. Yeah, this article, Libertarians on a Tide of Support, and that is really true this year. This follows along what we just mentioned. And you know, I've noticed on TV and radio, there's often mention of libertarians, you know, Republicans, libertarians. And years ago, you would never hear the word libertarian mentioned. So nowadays, we are hearing libertarian.
Well, like in a recent article in the journal talking about the libertarian-leaning ALEC. I don't know what ALEC is. I checked out their website. They do use a couple of terms in there that associate with us libertarians. But I don't know if they're a libertarian organization. I doubt if they are.
Well, I think ALEC is an acronym, and it's an association of businessmen, and they do have free market libertarian ideas. And of course, the progressives don't like that. You know, I know a lot of liberal Democrats in Salina, and everyone I know is a good person. But I doubt if any of them really understand the free market enterprise system. Yeah. All they know is, let's get the federal government to spend more money, and isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and that's kind of that's to the point of what I'm trying to say here is we do have to be careful about that. And you know, anyway, when we get into this, they talk about in here is how people really are naturally libertarian. When it comes to economics, balance the budget, pay the bills. When it comes to the social side of things, I don't care what you do, folks, in the privacy of your home. It doesn't affect me. Don't care. But a lot of the little L libertarians, which like Rand Paul, we'd have to call him a little L libertarian because he has a lot of libertarian leanings, except he's a Republican. Okay? So, you know, they have some of the problems with the libertarian message. You know, like same-sex marriage, consenting adults, folks, who cares? You know, staying out of foreign wars.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike will stand out there with his sign at times, no more war in Syria. Does everybody accept that sign?
Well, no military action in Syria, and I'm convinced now we're involved in Syria, and I guess we're giving the rebels equipment and money, and we shouldn't be doing that. You know, that's not our business. Let those people take care of it.
The problem with that real quick is, are we supporting, if we're going to support, are we supporting the right side? And we don't think they are. So the best way to do it is just don't do it.
Yeah.
And just stay out of it.
And by the way, you mentioned the idea of libertarianism. We've mentioned Atlas Shrugs, written by Ayn Rand some time ago, and the library has a DVD on Atlas Shrugged 2, the movie. So if any of you want to know about libertarian ideas, you should check that out because it's an interesting movie and it illustrates the frustration that businessmen and entrepreneurs have with government taxes and regulations.
Yeah. And so one of the last things that they say in here is, as I pointed out, little L libertarians stumble over the libertarian message. You know, like mentioned same-sex marriage. To a little L libertarian, no, can't do that. To a big L libertarian, we're like, you know, that's their business.
Yeah, you know, you'd be surprised. There are a lot of there are a lot of small L libertarians, like Clint Eastwood is one, and there are a number of Hollywood people who agree with what we do, but they don't join the party.
Alrighty, moving on here. Our illustrious governor, Sam Brownback, is not going along with the National Health Care Initiative, and so that's causing some problems in Medicaid because the national government is not going to hand out the billions of dollars if you do not go along with their rules. See how this works, little children? Well, Brownback is so far not going along with that. And he's drawing some heat because it's going to cause shortages in Medicaid payments. It's going to cause hospitals to have to cut services or shut down. And this next article here, costly not to expand Medicaid, they say that, and they say it very well. Again, what's the angle of the reporter? The reporter does not talk at all in here about what would be the costs of accepting.
This goes back to Obamacare a few years ago, and remember the exchanges. If you didn't have company or other kind of insurance, an individual could go to an exchange and supposedly shop for insurance. And Kansas opposed establishing the exchanges because they were hoping Obamacare would not have been approved by the Supreme Court. But anyway, this Medicaid, you know, I can understand why Brownback didn't want to expand Medicaid. And by the way, even though Obamacare has been approved by the U.S. Supreme Court, that court said states don't have to expand their Medicaid programs. And you know, Medicaid is for low-income people, and about 60% is paid by the federal government and 40% by the state. So if we expand our Medicaid program significantly, there will be an additional several 100,000 people in Kansas on Medicaid. And the whole thing is, can we trust the federal government? Suppose Medicaid was expanded and you have all these several 100,000 people added to the program. Well, initially the federal government says they'll pay for a lot of this, but can you trust them? 3 or 4 years from now, the federal government may say, you states do that. And that's common. There are lots of federal mandates in schools and other things, and the federal government doesn't pay for the whole thing, and so local people are left paying that. And so that's one reason conservatives have opposed this. And the other thing is, I'm convinced the goal of the Obama administration is eventually have a single payer national health insurance.
Without a doubt.
So these exchanges, Medicaid, these exchanges, over several years, they will go away because everybody realizes how complex they are, how they're going to hurt small businesses. So after several years, people will just give up on Obamacare and we'll go to a socialized medicine where people pay into the federal government and the federal government provides all your health care with the long lines.
And tells you what health care you will receive.
Yeah. Old people, a 75-year-old person like me, Mike, you can't have that hip replacement or cataract operation. You're too old. You're not worth it. And they literally do that in England, and I'm sure that'll be done here. So that's the whole goal, is national health insurance, single payer.
I remember an example of a woman out of Great Britain. She was leading a perfectly healthy and normal life as long as she got her drugs. Well, a panel made the decision that that drug was too expensive. She couldn't have it. Within a few months she was dead. So we take somebody who's an elderly person, needs a cancer drug. Nope, you can't have this because you're too old. We need it for the younger people.
Okay? But in a way, I kind of agree with that, because modern technology, a lot of old people and comatose people are kept alive by modern technology, and they should have expired years ago. So from a practical standpoint, should a 90-year-old person be medicated and kept alive for another 3 or 4 years? That their quality of life is poor, and so who knows?
And that's where the term death panels comes from. Because just what he was deciding, you take away that individual's life support, they die, okay? Have you not chosen for them to die? Death panels. It comes back to this whole Republican-Democrat thing. Oh, that's a death panel. No, it's not. We're just deciding what's best for the vast majority of the people, okay? Study it out, folks. Find out which side you come down on. While I don't fully agree with what Mike said, I do see a very legitimate argument there that could be made for that. Our next one comes from, this is from the U.S. News and World Report, a reporter by the name of Lauren Fox. She basically says, hey voters, congressional gridlock is your fault because you vote them in. Well, is that true? Well, yeah. Is it true that while we say, hey, y'all got a bunch of rum-dum idiots representing you, but mine is a fine,
yes, mine's a fine man.
But, really, and she does point it out in here, although, again, I question where she's going with the article. She does have some points in there about how gridlock really comes about because you and I don't agree on everything. So you're going to vote one way and I'm going to vote another way. And so while we have these two opposing voters or two opposing representatives now, kind of canceling each other out, which means not a lot gets done.
Yeah, I do like gridlock, because if you have opposing sides discussing things vigorously, the thing is examined. Like Obamacare is a good example, is when you didn't have gridlock, because the Democrats controlled the national government and they just pushed through Obamacare, even lying about it. But at that time, if there had been some Republican opposition, gridlock, we wouldn't have Obamacare. So I do support a lot of that. And as you say, it comes down, it's our fault. You know, in the final analysis, it's the voters' fault.
Yeah. So, got an election coming up next year, folks. What are you going to do about it? Okay. Are you going to get involved? Are you going to know the issues? Are you going to jump on with one of the political parties? Are you going to start an independent voice? Boy, that would be refreshing here in Saline County, wouldn't it? An independent voice of Saline County. We ain't Republican, we ain't Democrats, we just speak for you. That would be good. She does make one other point in here, that in a lot of these cases, it's simply a lack of leadership. The people in authority, they have their own agenda, okay? My agenda runs until November 2014, and it's all about me getting reelected. Okay, that's my agenda. Oh, you mean I have to do something for you? Well, if I have the time, I will. If I can come off vacation long enough.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, anything else we want to knock out about that?
I don't think so.
There's a couple of things. I subscribe to the Herman Cain newsletter, which you can too.
Oh, hit him?
Just get on there with Herman Cain. You hear him on KINA here locally. Mm-hmm. He was commenting about our Presbo, talking about how the economy is growing. All right, Cain says, of course he went on Jay Leno to say that. If he would have went to a reputable news agency, like if he would have came on my show and said that, I would have said, hey, Barack, baby, 14-year-old boy's mustache may grow, say it's growing, but it's nothing to be proud of. Isn't that kind of like the U.S. economy? You know, growing at, what, 1.5%, 2%? Hey, it's miraculous! Yeah, right. If he wouldn't have spent a penny, it would have been growing at like 3 or 4%. So, I mean, where's that coming in? But anyway, that's the whole point of what Herman Cain is saying here.
Obama puts out so much baloney. I just stopped listening to him, and a lot of people have, because he exaggerates. Like recently, there was an AP article about all these new jobs, and the majority of those new jobs were part-time people. They weren't.
Vast majority of them.
Yeah, they weren't good jobs. So the economy is not growing, and I'm convinced it's Obama's policies. You know, he's one of these liberals who doesn't understand the free enterprise system, and he's opposed to it. And I've read many articles from businessmen how Obamacare is hurting them, and they don't want to hire new people because they don't know what their expenses are going to be in a year or so.
So they'll hire somebody short-term, part-time. I'm just going off the top of my head here, and my numbers could be off, but the percentage is about proper. It was like somewhere around 900,000 new jobs, and 750,000 of them were part-time.
Well,
you know, something like that. Like I said, my numbers may be off, but the percentage is in the ballpark.
In 1 month, maybe it's 150 or 200,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That would be great, 900,000.
Well, it was over a year, is what it was. 900,000 over a year. So, you know, this is kind of interesting. First 2 quarters of the year, we've seen growth of 1.2% and 1.7%, respectively. The media tried to help him out. Jeez, imagine that. Moving on. Top 10 wind energy. We're in kind of a lightning round here, folks, because we're running out of time. Top 10 wind energy states. Kansas is number 3. Big deal, right? Boy, that really sounds great.
Now that, that is important. Kansas is the number 3 state in the United States with potential wind energy. And that's why there are a lot of wind farms being built, and some of them are out west where there's a lot of wind. But the problem is, how do you get that energy from out west to the big cities like Topeka and Kansas City? So they've got to build lengthy transmission lines, which costs tens of millions of dollars. So the big problem is the transmission line.
Yeah, that is a huge problem. Just to kind of keep this in perspective, though, top 10 energy production ways. Number 1, coal with 37%. Remember, our president has said he's going to end the coal industry. Number 2, natural gas, 30%. Who's that dude out of Texas that is really pushing natural gas? Yeah. I wonder, is he a Republican or a Democrat? I wonder. Anyway, 3rd, nuclear, 19%. And we can go on down, way down. In other renewable resources is wind at 3.46%. So that kind of puts it in quick perspective.
Well, the fact is the U.S. has tremendous deposits of coal.
Yep.
And on the other hand, I've toured about 3 wind farms in Kansas. And the typical generator is about 1.5 megawatts. That's the rating. But they only put out the rated power maybe 35% of the time because, of course, the wind conditions. So wind sounds very nice. It's a good supplement, but it'll never replace the base coal and nuclear.
Always happy to see you guys. Come on out and see us. See us down at Mocha's.
First Saturday.
And come be around. We want to see you. We want to talk to you. We need your talents. Okay? So for Mike Wilson, this is Mike Troe. Catch you on the flipper, y'all.
Bye.
Goes against fairtax.org.